Hey everybody, it is two queers in a truck, and it's raining men. Hallelujah! It's raining men. And anyway, this is two queers in a truck. Hey Christian, how are you doing?
Good, Boo. How are you? I hadn't seen you in a long time.
Oh,
Almost
at least 10
30
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah,
10 minutes,
yeah.
exactly.
So we record two
Uh,
shows back to back for people who don't watch
yeah.
the other show, but we recorded another show previously. So um, it's a
Woo, that
different
one
format.
made me drink. That show's
Yeah, I
making me
bet.
drink now.
It's right. So I played that song for a reason because it is raining men on the Tucker Carlson show, actually, and a very bizarre. And we're going to get a deep dive into this, and it is probably one of the most interesting things Tucker Carlson's ever done. And to speak to what I'm talking about, Tucker Carlson created this. I don't even know what you want to call it, a promo video.
Yeah, what
And
was that?
it's something they create things on the show all the time for just
Yeah.
different, propaganda purposes. Tucker
Hmm.
Carlson's on the Fox News Network and entertainment
Yeah.
companies deal. He has a regular show that I think plays nightly or weekly. I don't know. I've never watched
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
And
neither have
so
I. Yeah.
I've not watched Fox News in years.
Yeah.
And I've got a gag
I
reflex.
tried to for a couple of days. I couldn't.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
miserable. But anyway, Tucker Carlson created this video lamenting about how men are just, I guess, not manly enough anymore, or that the manly men are going away. And it creates he's been dragged on Twitter pretty hard about this. Essentially, people are saying, it's the beginning of his coming out story. That what kind of straight guy would be lamenting that men aren't manly enough for them anymore? Like he's begging men to be more manly. I don't know if it's a jab at the LGBT community. I personally think, and because we've said this on the show a million times, and not just about
Hmm.
Tucker, but Republicans and conservatives in general,
Yep.
especially the big old Southern sissy, is that many times one of the reasons they rail on the gay men so much and trans women is because they're closeted themselves about something, usually something to do with
Yes.
their sexuality, whether it's
Hmm.
super kinky Jerry Falwell Jr. or Lindsey Graham and his sweet tooth for male sex workers in the Washington D.C. area. But Tucker Carlson, I mean, and I'm telling you, it opens up with this like tanning thing aiming right at the crotch of this really well built male. There's
Yeah.
these scenes of them jumping out of pools and just all this sweatiness and working out. And it's just, and I think back to the early 2000s, a lot of gay bars,
Hmm.
behind their bar, they would have these TVs with, men doing different things like chopping wood
Exactly.
and
Hmm.
all this super
Yep.
masculine gay
Hmm.
male looking eye candy stuff they put behind the bars. And that Tucker Carlson's video is gayer than that. And so I think there's gay men who saw that video and said, I think I need to come out again because Tucker just went gay nuts. What do you think? I mean, I sent you the video.
Yeah.
It's like a wow.
It's I thought it was a joke at first, and then when I started reading that like you said that it was real, it was like a promo or something for his series that he's going to be talking about how men in America aren't as masculine. Well, first of all, I do agree with him. In the Republican Party, it's very difficult to find a masculine guy. And not and I say that not trying to suggest that that's not good or bad. I'm just saying that's the reality. They all seem to be drama queens. And so really his message is more towards Republican men, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know what he's trying. Is he trying to save us? I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of big old queens in the Republican Party, and it's a very bizarre bromance, pro bro,
Yeah.
weird look at
Yeah.
men, and I look at it this way, like if you're straight, why would you care whether men are manly?
Exactly.
Or, whatever he defines manly, obviously. They showed it all in the video. If you haven't watched it after the show, pop on the Twitter and just,
But you know what, Jenny? Isn't it bizarre that it's like, I don't think of him as like a manly guy.
No, but maybe that's his preference. Maybe he likes an uber masculine man. I mean, apparently because he's also a guest. Right after that played, he had guests on it, about men being manly, what defines masculinity, and so clearly he's projecting his preferences and type of men. Obviously, Tucker's
the type of men he likes.
He's a power bottom. He definitely likes a very specific type of male because it was in the promo. In fact, I think somehow Tucker said, I need this created real quick for the next show. And his main production guy is probably some straight dude that works for Fox. Going, I don't know anything. So he turned to the assistant, Jacob, and he goes, I got you, Tucker. I'll get all this masculine video I prefer, and I'll get you paid. I got your back.
Exactly. Yes.
And so I can just picture it now in this production meeting because they have these big type production meetings.
Yes.
And Jacob, the assistant, gets up and goes, I got you, Queen.
Girl, I'll take this one.
Yes. These are the ones that Rue prefers,
Yes, exactly.
And just, can you imagine just the conversation? like I would love, this is one of the few times I would have loved to be in the Fox Network's video production planning deal and be in their building because I'd be like,
dude, what on earth?
Am I hearing this correctly? This is an effective. We'll let this segment run over just a little bit more. It's so surreal. When I saw it the first time, I was like, am I watching Tucker Carlson come out? I mean, I was serious. I thought, I reacted like you. I was like, this can't be real.
Yeah.
And it was. It is real.
Mm-hmm.
And then my second instinct is this is literally the beginning of Tucker's coming out story.
Well, Jenny, I've said this I know you and I both said this for a while, but I've said this for a while, especially like when in the evangelical church and stuff. They're like, they have these I don't know if you know, but there's this group called MFM, and it's a Christian religious group, and they meet in Florida like once a year, and NFL coaches go to it, and some someone like a football player is like someone like Tim Tebow would go to it, and it's about men learning how to be men and all this kind of stuff. And their logo is MFM, and it's this guy like in jeans. It looks like a gay leather ad, like an Eagle or some leather bar. The guy, and so this is like 2009 when I first saw it. And I used to always joke about, do they not realize that looks exactly like, an ad you would see like in a gay newspaper for a bar? And of course, their language is always men bonding with men and men, this. And it's like, this is like the gayest thing. And I don't know. It's just.
It's very bizarre. It's a very.
It's a very interesting.
That they seek the company of other men, but claim they're straight, and I don't care. I want Tucker to live his best life. I think that'll help him a lot with his anger issues. If he just comes on out, and it seems like by that video, he didn't just dive into the gay pool. Mm-hmm. He jumped off the high dive and went straight into the deep end. And time will tell. But it's a very, very bizarre thing for a supposedly straight man to make. I can't picture it.
Hey, Jen, are any of your segments going to be talking about the don't say gay thing?
Actually, no.
Because this is the question I have for you. The question I have for you.
There's one that's going to kind of dovetail into it.
Okay. Because I have a question about this don't say gay thing. I'm wondering if these people, like, this is like when I've seen the people that are like completely against it, it's like women driven kind of thing. Do you think there's something in Florida where these women are doing this because?
Save that thought.
Okay, all right.
I have
Okay,
the perfect segment. It is
Okay,
coming up. It'll be
excellent,
towards
okay.
the end. But I've got
Sure.
an amazing tie-in to that exact
Okay,
thought.
excellent.
So the next one is the war of info is very expensive. Alex
Mhm.
Jones, InfoWars dude, conspiracy theorist,
Yeah,
all around nice wacko, is being sued by the Sandy Hook families because of the Sandy Hook victims and the mass shooting at that school a little
Yeah.
over a decade ago.
Mhm.
And he's being sued for about $10 million
Yeah.
because of the conspiracies and lies they told about that they
Mhm.
were actors and all kinds of other things that he ran with for years. What actually a big part of how he became famous was
Yeah.
creating a lot of these conspiracy theories about the Sandy Hook victims and many other mass shooting victims.
Mhm.
And so he's going through bankruptcy court right now, and he's had to
Yeah.
shuttle assets around and do all the filings that you're supposed to do with bankruptcy.
Mhm.
But I'm glad to see that people are holding companies and entities and people accountable. He did innumerable damage to these people, and
Mhm.
words mean things. And when you lose, especially the families that lost you really young, small
Yeah.
children, is devastating. You're never the same. I saw
Yeah.
how my parents, despite my differences between myself and my parents, I saw when my brother died 18 years ago.
Mhm.
I saw what they went through, and he was an adult, but it's still
Mhm.
painful to lose one of your own, one of your children. And, just for this guy to just grab onto that issue of all issues and just blatantly
Mhm.
lie and just say
Yeah.
that everybody involved with that is actors and
Yeah.
performers.
Mhm.
They're trying to make the country more liberal and take away our
Yeah.
guns. I'm like, the world can exist, that we both can protect our
Mhm.
neighbors, which we have an obligation to do in public service. And we can also create common sense consumer laws for guns, because
Yeah.
guns are first and foremost our consumer product. And
Yeah.
every industry has, whether it's the airlines, whether it's the auto
Mhm.
industry, we all have rules and laws that and regulations that protect every industry. And the guns are no
Mhm.
different. And
Yeah.
nobody's calling for the banishment of guns.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming for your,
Mhm.
but we are saying there should be some common sense
Mhm.
rules that we all should live
Sure.
by and
Mhm.
strengthen or see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about Alex Jones or gun sense laws. What is your take, and
Well,
what do you think about a court? People holding him responsible for the damage that he's done.
yeah. I mean, it's always just like I forget who else, the other guy, Rush Limbaugh, and just like Steve Bannon, they appeal to this type of individuals that likes to hear this kind of baloney. And when they get called out on it, they say, "Oh, it's just entertainment. I'm not, I'm just, like Joe Rogan says that, I'm an idiot. Why listen to me?" So it's as if though that forgives you for what you've said. You know what I mean? And so it's this thing where I think I'm glad that the parents sued him and they're making it. They're doing everything that they are doing. I think he was being fined because he wouldn't show up to the deposition and all kinds of stuff. And so I hope they just continue to treat him, because that's just, we don't live in a world anymore where people are, especially with one particular group of people. There's just certain things that you just don't do. When someone loses their children, you don't like rub it in, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's I don't know. It's just the weird. It's I don't know. I don't know. It's
I
yeah. I'm speechless on this
just
one because it's just
it, no matter what you're, like, there's no political affiliation when it comes to losing a child, and,
exactly.
and being the sibling that he was my only
Mhm.
sibling. I know how that hole in my heart that'll never heal up because of that. And I can't even imagine if one of my 3 children passed away before me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's so tragically and so sudden as gun violence takes a life. It's not not that it makes it any better, but long-term illness is so different because you're able to say the goodbyes. These people dropped their kids off, or they went on a bus.
Mm-hmm.
That's the last time they saw their kids.
Yeah.
And to be able to to have the nerve to make fun of that and create conspiracy, like everything that can happen to Alex Jones, I'm okay with.
Really exactly. That's kind of my feeling. Exactly.
Say la vie.
Yeah.
I mean, what an awful human being. That you're right is our modern version of Rush Limbaugh. We do have to take a short break, and we will be right back.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
What a thing to take a break on. So anyway, we're going to switch to one of our favorite people. March 3 names got outraised, outclassed, and she can't wear a mask. So it's a two-part topic. Both on March 3 names, or is she's commonly known as MTG, or Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marcus Flowers, her Democratic opponent, raised $2.4 million in the first quarter of this year, compared to her $1.1 million. And also, too, the important part was that she spent a lot of that, I think over 340,000 bills, helping out Trump and Trump's legal issues. And the other thing is, MTG also had no income in 2021 because she paid so many fines for not wearing a mask that almost, I think, pretty close to 100% of her salary from working in the House of Representatives went to fines because she wouldn't wear a mask there, but wears it everywhere else. So, I guess the irony that Marcus Flowers, her opponent, is outraising her and outperforming her. But two, the fact that just like you wear a mask at the airport, she wears the mask. There's tons of pictures on Twitter of her wearing a mask voluntarily, not forced to. She never raises a stink anywhere else, except in the place where she works.
She's a clown. She's a clown. She is just, the trash squad that you and I talk about all the time, her, Bobbitt, Cawthorn, and Matt Gaetz, and then I would also include Dan Bishop, even though he's being quiet lately because he doesn't want to be considered with them now. It's just, I read this. You and I, we read a lot of things and stuff, and I read this thing where this Republican had talked about, even if they take over the House, and if these clowns get back in, hopefully some of them won't, but if they do get back in, they will create so much chaos they won't be able to get anything done because they're not going to have a supermajority in the House. If they get in, it's going to be a very, very thin margin. And they may be able to pass some things, but they won't be able to pass a lot of them because these clowns will disrupt it so much that other Republicans won't go along with them. And the reason they won't go along with them was because they would be so destructive that it would be a disaster 2024. And so it's I don't know, the same Republican that they had talked about said, we've always had characters and since the beginning of our country in Congress, but we've never had, he didn't say they were clowns, but it was almost like suggesting we've never had like these kind of people, and that was the mainstream Republicans. These are like trailer trash clowns, and they're going, oh my God, how the hell and it's just,
and this is the same party that when you talk about the drug war
Yeah.
or racism or stuff like that, they always throw in, well, they need to be or they just need to comply. And they talk about personal responsibility in police shootings, for example. And so, if they just complied, they just put their hands up, did everything the police officer said, which is not true, but this is the party, air quotes, a personal responsibility. But yet these really loud and obnoxious, trashy Congress people that we refer to as the trash squad, they're anything but responsible. Like they are
just
the lowest common denominator in the Republican Party. And you just wonder, well, where's the personal responsibility?
Yeah. But don't you think, Jenny, in a way, and I know sometimes, don't you think in a way, from a strategic standpoint, I'm glad they're there because they are doing so much harm to that party. And there are middle of the road people who are saying, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And hopefully the same people who said the same thing about Trump, I'm hoping these same people will say, and that's why I had this sign that said vote against crazy. Because, when we get into the, not really the primaries, but when we get into the general elections, I've already talked to my precinct chair and stuff. We need to hold signs with don't vote for stupid people and have all their faces with Trump and remind people, do you want don't vote for crazy, stupid people. You wouldn't work with them, And so why would you want them to represent you? Oh, they speak their mind. Okay, well, they can speak their mind drunk at wherever they're at. But my goodness, I'm just hoping so much that kind of what Tony said last week on our Coffee and Producer show. I hope that the America sees this with all this. I don't know. I'm hoping, but we have to prepare in case they're not. I don't know.
It's super bizarre. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I just again I always go back to the personal responsibility remark. You and I both have conservative people in our lives, and when certain subjects come up, the first thing they always say is personal responsibility.
Exactly.
Even our libertarian friends say that all the time. Personal responsibility and market forces. And market forces said that Marcus Flowers is worth a lot more than Marjorie Taylor.
Exactly.
So there's one down. And personal responsibility is knowing when to shut up and not reveal how stupid they are.
And
many of my elders would say is just leave some doubt. On the next,
but Jenny, don't you think every human being knows someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Yeah, but I usually encourage them not to run for office.
No. All of us know someone. Yeah, all of us know someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we hate that person.
Well, normally I'm so transparent on the way I talk. They usually don't talk a lot around me. But math is non-binary. So the Florida Education Department dropped 41% of their math textbooks due to CRT or critical race theory content. Now I'm going to repeat that. Florida Education Department dropped their mathematics, zeros and ones, due to CRT content. Not history books, not poli-sci books, not even, I don't know, even geography maybe can have the CRT in it. Not that it's taught in K through 12, but mathematics books. Okay. So the craziness of the CRT conspiracy BS is gone over to mathematics. And that's why I made the joke.
I saw that.
I stole that joke from somebody else. The math, because don't say gay, non-binary, trans. So not only is math non-binary, but it's also doesn't talk about critical race theory or any critical thinking, maybe with algebra and problem solving, but not anything to do with racism or socialism. But Do you think CRT has become, I'll ask you this, has become our socialism scare or our red scare of our time?
Yeah.
Like back in the 50s and 60s, McCarthy and all the red scare and J. Edgar Hoover. Do you think CRT has now become the 21st century, 2020 conservative buzzword?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Of course it is. Yeah. That, and, it was cancel culture, woke, CRT, all of those things. And I think what we have to do is, and I think we do a good job sometimes, but we have to just keep talking about these things and change it. I love when the TikTok teens take over something. You know how they take over a hashtag and they take over, and we have to kind of learn from them in a way and just bombard. We got to damage that brand so much that it becomes ridiculous to people who don't pay attention to it. You know what I mean? And there, I know there's a lot of ways we can do it, but social media obviously is the best way to do it. It's just to kind of, make it so silly that, that it becomes clownish. It's like every time I turn the TV on and I see the stupid My Pillow guy, and he says, cancel culture has tried to cancel me, and now even banks. And of course, I know what he's saying because it's bank. So middle of the road people don't understand what that. So you have to almost say, if you're around someone middle of the road, saying he's so bad that his own bank kicked him out, because they understand things like that,
right?
And then they have to say, oh yeah, because they value their relationship with their bank or having a bank account or whatever. And so it's just,
and it's very bizarre that, of course, critical race theory is primarily taught in graduate schools and law schools, because you're talking about law and registration, and restorative justice and that sort of thing. And so it doesn't have anything to do with primarily high school and junior high mathematics, which is the books that were targeted were mathematics. So I think is insane and bizarre, but I think further, maybe Republicans and conservatives don't understand anything past zeros and ones, and maybe they don't understand, maybe they don't understand math. I mean, maybe they're mad at math.
Well, that's interesting. No, and that's remember, I don't know if you got that article, but I was in the treadmill. I forwarded that article, and they talked about how all of these like banning books and things like that, and the don't say gay bills. The best way to defeat these bills is to everyone just go at it and try to ban every single book in your school and make it so dysfunctional that people get sick of it. So I'm glad that I hope that these parents who are against this, that they will start participating and start banning all books. Find something wrong with every single book, and clutter this and make them look at because it only takes one person to file a complaint, and I would go in there and file a complaint on every single book.
It sometimes the most ridiculous solutions and outlandish solutions are the ones that will highlight just how wacko banning math would be. It's the connection, like even the mainstream media is picking up on so fast. They're going, well, they don't have anything to do with each other. Even if you do CRT at school, which they go for younger children. But what does it have to do with math books? And why did you ban 41% of them? And of course, they're not coming out with any reasons. There isn't any on page 42. There's this liberal concept, or they're grooming our kids to be, homosexuals through CRT or some crazy, wacky Florida. And again, it's Florida in the news, like the dueling banjos of crazy states. But we are time for this segment, so we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
And we are back. So the next one has to do with, we've had a lot of laws and suggested laws lately about grooming, but there's interesting that a teacher in Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
and I like to call this section "Smoke 'em if you got 'em," Part 2, is Melissa Blair. That's not LGBTQIA. Is a teacher in Tennessee. Just a Tennessee mother.
Mm-hmm.
Tricking 9 different teenage boys into sex for exchange for vape pens. So all 9 of these kids are minors, teenagers.
Yeah.
But this Tennessee mom was swapping out smokes. I mean, kind of like, it happens in prison, but usually it's for adults of the same gender. And but this Tennessee mom, what's interesting is the Don't Say Gay bills, all the anti-transgender bills, stuff like that. And even back when we were young, they didn't want gay men teachers.
Sure.
Because of one thing that these people would turn people gay, turn people trans, and they're grooming them, air quotes, they're grooming them. And and every single time we hear that argument, about that same time, some straight hetero person, usually white, usually conservative, gets busted for either pedophilia or something kinky or whatever. But this goes to show you, a white woman in Tennessee, Melissa Blair, is sitting there trading smokes for sex for teenage boys, no less.
Well, I don't know what to say. I
mean,
you think people don't consider it as? Do you think people don't consider it as dangerous and important because these are teenage boys?
Well,
like if it was teenage girls, maybe they would be completely. But then because it's teenage boys, their instinct, or maybe they would say, oh well, there's boys, there's guys, and I it's just. I'm surprised there's not as much outrage, but I understand why.
Well, and I also think because it's a heterosexual woman.
Yes.
Like a white woman. I think if this had been a woman of color, I think there'd have been more outrage. I think
or if it had been a rest assured, it had been like a gay man, doing this, it would be Ted Cruz would be tweeting about it, going, "What's his number?"
yeah. What's his number? I like vape pens too, but it's just so bizarre. And I think even the media is probably not picking up the story, one, because there's so many stories out there.
Yeah.
And two, I think you hit the nail exactly on the head, from the fact that if this was a queer person, if this was a trans person, especially if this was a trans woman or a gay male, which are the 2 biggest targets of homophobia and transphobia, because again, both people are assigned male at birth predominantly. I mean, you can have trans men that are gay as well, but predominantly it's going to be people assigned male at birth. So, the homophobia, especially, which is really the root of transphobia for the most part, is at play there. And again, I think if you're right, if it was a gay male teacher or a gay male coach or a gay male PTA president, whatever, I think, especially if it was in a very liberal city like a San Francisco, California,
exactly,
New York City, something like. I think it would be all over the news cycle. Especially on Fox News and all those other networks. I think it'd be hammer time, and they'd be screaming, "See, I told you! See, I told you! See, y'all are dangerous." But the fact is, the majority of almost 91% of pedophiles are white, straightish men, usually conservative and usually married to a woman. And that's 91%. That's according to the FBI. And the rest, or majority, are white women, or women in general. They're also straight. And like this woman, she was not LGBTQ. She was taking advantage of teenage boys. and we're talking about boys in high school.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trading out. It has a little smokes for sex program that she had going on. You know, and it's just very bizarre that every time they point a finger, you need to immediately be looking at officials in Tennessee, because they've been big on the anti-LGBT for the last few months. And so I'm telling you right now, just, you know, it's almost a guarantee. Probably the biggest homophobic legislature and people are there. You know, these Republicans screaming about the homos, and then you got that right there in their backyard.
Well, you know, that person who's running for governor in is it Ohio or I can't remember what state, but he's a Republican running for governor, and he's got that commercial out talking about this school, Alabama, running for governor in Alabama, and he's got a commercial talking about this school that's transgender charter school, and you know, all this kind of stuff. And it turns out that this reporter actually looked at his high school yearbook, and he was dressed as a woman, like just, you know, for like a football thing. And they asked him about it, and he said, "Oh, it's just, guys, this is what we do." You know, no, you're, you know, it's just
right. He went dragging.
But when you do it, it's just, you know, it's
well, you know, and again, it just goes back to, you know, don't look at me. You know, I'm an exception. I can do what I want. Don't tell me what to do. You know, I can have sex with the pool boy. It's no, I just like to watch. But you know, I like my wife to get railed by the pool boy, and it's okay. And I just like to watch. Wink, wink, wink.
Yeah.
You know, just helping that sheep over the fence.
That's right.
But that did tie into what you were talking about earlier when you brought up about grooming and, you know, women looking the other way. You wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we have a lot of women in our society, the straight women, mostly straight white women, that'll look the other way with these behaviors. And you know, like you know, Matt Gaetz, that's been doing this crap for a long time. His sister-in-law was like 14 years old, and he was hitting on her, and I mean, she's even come out in the media. And so you have these enablers, these white women that predominantly it's white women and women in general, straight women that enable these guys like Mark Robinson and Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan, and you know, make up all these excuses for them. And I'm like, even in the Bill Cosby trial, how his TV wife, you know, was just like, "Oh, he's a good man, he's a good Christian man," and all this. I'm like, well, yeah, if you leave out the roofie part, you know, that's a pretty good guy. Unless you're and vulnerable, and you look the other way as he roofies your drink, you know, it just blows me away how we make excuses for some of these guys, and just to your point, you know, you see that enablement.
We you know, most marginalized communities, specifically the LGBT community, we've always had to walk such a fine line of doing something a little bit, we have to do it a little bit better. We have to make sure we don't make mistakes, you know, because there's so much, if you do fall, you're pounded on. See, this is why you do it. You know, this is, you know, they're groomers, they're, you know, whatever, you know, and so you almost have to overcompensate by trying to. It's not as easy, you know. Whereas heterosexual people have no problem going to Mardi Gras and taking all their clothes off. They have no problem going down to Key West and going to the nude bars, which are straight bars. You know, going to the nude bars, walking around, you know, and so it's just, it is a double standard. I understand, but I guess what I was going to say with the "Don't Say Gay," it seems like it seems like this "Don't Say Gay" thing is like a woman, mom, parent driven thing, and then you want to say what is it? What? Why are you angry? What happened? Did your husband cheat on you with another guy? Is that why you hate gay people? Is there there's something that triggers people that makes them so obsessed and focused on going after one group of individuals? It's why are you spending all of your time and energy? Well, I'm trying to protect my child. Okay, has your child had this problem before? I mean, is this something that I'm curious to hear what they have. I mean, what is it that triggered them?
And one of the big things, especially in the anti-trans legislation, especially when you're talking about medical transitioning and psychological help, is their premise is they want to ban it because they believe rogue teachers and counselors are convincing kids and students and encouraging them to transition.
Okay.
And putting it in their head. Let me just tell you, from somebody that has ran a support group, a all ages support group from age 0 to whatever, the trans teenagers and even younger elementary school kids, number one, they usually the first person that tells them, "Oh, you're not really trans," is usually your parents. So when they do come out seeking help, they usually have to fight through their parents most of the time. I'm going to say 80%, 90% of the time. These parents don't even want to talk about it. They struggle with it. And it takes a lot of lobbying by the child to be persistent, consistent before they'll even take them to a psychological therapist or bring it up at school or whatever. It's not one of these things where nobody in their right mind, child or adult, would ever come out as trans because somebody told them they're trans or convinced them or groomed them. It's the same as the old argument against gay male teachers is they're going to turn all their boys gay and make them gay. No. If you're gay, you're gay. You were born that way, and no matter how long you stay in the closet, if that's your nature, that's who you are. And so there's this really bizarro again saying it's nurture, not nature, that makes you that makes you trans or gay. And of course, it's the old argument. That's the same big old lie, and it's always been told about our community. And so they've scared these moms, and some of the moms maybe are homophobic or whatever. But I also think too, a lot of it's put in their heads by Republicans that it's got to be the school's fault. It's got to be some grooming kids that hey, they're the big old dangerous people.
Doesn't that go back to what you talked about earlier? That where is their personal responsibility for taking care of their children?
Right.
I mean, they're saying, I don't want you telling my doing this or to my children. Well, and then they want the government to help them stop certain things. So it's like, listen, you either want. So you're for big government. You want government to fix your issues. How about you accept a responsibility for, why don't you just spend time with your child and you wouldn't have to worry about your child going to someone else?
That big old socialist school district, public school district doesn't need to be fixing your parenting skills.
Exactly.
And let me tell you, schools can barely have enough time to do everything they need to do because we've done so many social problems like feeding the kids and doing so much reversal damage on all the stupid things like stupid drug wars and immigration stuff and everything else. That school districts face more challenges than ever because our society's become so much more complex. I promise you, there is not a teacher or counselor or principal in the world that's sitting there saying, by the end of the school year, I need to turn at least 10 kids gay or trans. There's nobody just because I can apply this to adulthood too. Like when I meet some guy that's, super homophobic, don't try any business on me and stuff. It's the same discussion. Is it somehow our community has all this amazing powers of persuasion.
Exactly.
It's going to make sense.
The fact that
a homosexual just by hugging them and putting some magic fairy dust, I'm like, man, if I had that kind of power, you know how much easier my life would be?
Exactly.
You know,
It's
Can't be
it
tempted.
is.
You can't.
Yeah, I do think, and the reason I think that the CRT woke don't say gay thing is going to obviously blow up in their face. Unfortunately, people are going to get hurt until then, just like HB2 here. Remember,
Right.
happened. You know, it may take a couple of years before people just say this is just ridiculous. You know, the middle of the road kind of people. Because what they've said is the reason that this has become important for parents is because schools were shut down and people were learning remotely. And parents, for the first time, this is what they're saying, for the first time, parents were just now realizing what their kids were actually learning because they were at home. So that should be, somehow we've got to turn that around and say, so what you're saying is you were such a crappy parent. You didn't even know you didn't even know what your kid was learning. And that really should highlight all these parents that are going, now I know what they're teaching. You should say, so what you're saying is you were such a terrible parent that all this time your kid was in school, you didn't go to any like meet your teacher. You didn't go and, hey, let's check their homework. You know, and that's really what they're saying. It's these suburban moms that are actually admitting, I'm not involved in my kids' education until now. And it's almost like, why would you admit that? Why would you say I'm such a crappy parent that now I know
Right.
we need to get this? I mean, it's just.
Which we all know that that's BS. That's all been cooked up by large political movements.
Yes.
I think they've linked up to 52 of these moms groups all over the country to really the same source and the same funding. So we all know that there's not masses of parents that don't know what's being taught in their schools because most kids, you can't get them to shut up. Second is that most school districts, or at least the ones that I've always been a part of for my kids, as they send home tons of stuff, tons of communication, tons of and all of my kids graduated before 2020. So I didn't have a kid in school when the pandemic hit. And I can just tell you, as a parent, there's no way in hell if you didn't know what your kid's being taught in school, then where's your personal responsibility?
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm saying.
And 100%, you know, and just having the parental experience, I have to call BS because, you know, you got parent teacher conferences usually twice a year. There's school assemblies that you're invited to, especially on the elementary school level. And let me tell you, there is no proof, and this is the most important thing, is it with our side of this equation says, well, then where's your proof? Where's your smoking gun that they're teaching kids to be gay? They're grooming kids to be trans.
Where did you hear this from?
Let me see the documentation. Let me see so if this is true on a massive level, like on a state level or a school district level, that means that thousands of kids this should have happened to.
Yeah, exactly.
Try out 100 of them. Let's just see 100 of them. Let's interview these kids. Let's interview these parents. I want to see this reversal of them converting people to the LGBT community. I want to see it. I want to see which teachers and counselors did that. And if you don't have that, then you need to shut up. You just need to shut up before you look stupid. I mean, it's wild accusations that there's no way, if you, like you said, if you think about it, you go, well, you're either admitting that you're a crappy, unplugged in parent.
And who would do that?
That you suck.
I mean, they are. I mean, they are. I mean, really, one of the things that really surprises me about Marjorie Taylor Greene is we've always had trashy trailer trash people, but she's like openly admitting that, like, you know, I'm proud to be trash. It's like, I don't, most people want to get out of the trailer. You know, I mean, it's just.
She's rushing back in. She literally got her Trump flag and her Confederate flag and probably the Klan flag. And
Mhm.
and I find it ironic that they talk about the sexual dysfunction of the LGBT community like it's a problem.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you think about it. So Marjorie Taylor Greene was in that swinging scandal.
Swing exactly.
She was in a swingers club. Matt
Mhm.
Gaetz is an alleged child trafficker.
Mhm.
And the Bobberts, so Mr. Bobbert
Mhm.
exposes himself at a bowling alley to teenage girls, including his future wife.
And
who was a
Madison
teenager
Cawthorn's
at the
being
time.
invited to orgies where they bump cocaine.
Yeah.
So
and apparently now, after what's his face's gay video, I do believe that maybe there was an all gay male orgy at the Republican
I don't know.
headquarters there and with
I don't
cocaine
know.
parties. So maybe Tucker will have some footage for that. But we are out of time, and hopefully soon Tucker will produce some more delicious gay
right.
porn
Mhm.
and erotica for us to talk about next week. But yes, it is the story of the week for sure of all the things. But anyway, this is Two Queers a Truck, and I'm Jenny-Jaymes Gunn. And Christian
no music?
And we got to do some bye-bye music.
Yeah, let's do some music out. Let's music out.
Let's music out.
Because I got my dance going. I got to have something. Bye, boo-boo.
Bye, boo-boo. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching Two Queers in a Truck. We appreciate y'all watching, and we will see you next week.
Bye, boo-boo.
Dr. Carlson.